So as you can probably tell by looking at this channel, looking at the sound quality, looking at this video, I'm a professional YouTuber. But on my spare time, when I'm not producing fire content, I also have this side gig as the founder of a startup in the mental health care space. You know those Instagram pages about hustle and grind? That's me, I'm all of them. So my work for the startup requires reading a lot of research papers. And I was reading one such paper and I had this idea, how pathetic would it be if somebody looked up all the research papers on Kanye West, downloaded a few of them, printed them out, and then tried to review them for a YouTube video. So I just finished reading Afrofuturism, the digital turn and the visual art of Kanye West. And this article was bipolar, to say the least. I mean, it has two different parts and it has two different authors, so I'm assuming each part was written by each author. Of course, there are papers that are written by more than one people, and they usually have kind of different writing in the parts that are written by different people. But this feels like two different papers were just forcefully stuck together in the middle. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. What I'll say next is from the introduction. The productive logic concerning the relationship between human being and technology is in need of revision. Digital hermeneutic is needed. The question arises as to how to approach contemporary artistic more logical break with Eurocentric ideas of futurism. And now this is apart from the part where they talk about Kanye West. With the death of his mother and the breakup with his former lover, Amber Rose, the hip-hop star experiences a fall from grace. With 808s and Heartbreak, an album dedicated to pain and loss, West shapes his very public breakup into a narrative intended to be an auditory catharsis. Do you see how the second part is beautiful and poetic, while the first part reads like the instruction manual of a washing machine? Another thing that struck me as kind of weird about this paper was how the introduction discussed a few ideas that were not relevant to the central point at all. For example, the article discusses Dadaism and Nietzsche, and neither of them ever show up in the rest of the article. So what was the point of bringing them up in the introduction? Okay, anyway, slavery, racism, segregation, not cool. The West has not been very good at treating people from African descents. And this act of not being nice to African people doesn't really just stop in the past with slavery or right now with racism. I don't think I have ever seen any piece of Western futuristic media that really portrays a lot of humans who aren't white. And Afrofuturism is kind of this contrarian view to this exact thing, wherein it knows that the past has been bad and the present is also less than perfect for people of African descent. But still, it tries to imagine a future for these people. And the authors argue that because of his insane visuals and the huge influence that he has, Kanye West is, of course, contributing to Afrofuturism. But this paper puts out a really great point that Kanye's contributions aren't positive. In fact, they started out very optimistic, but now they have descended into nihilism. To prove this point, the authors view three of Kanye's largest videos in a sequence. These are Stronger, Love Lockdown, and then Monster. Reading these videos as a sequence, we see shift from futuristic post-human anti-hero to a tortured lovelorn hero, and finally to dark and repulsive cannibal. West goes from triumph to a dark acceptance that borders on defeat. I always thought that Kanye's videos were just supposed to look amazing, and of course they had a little bit of symbolism, but how they show it as a progression of ideas, it never struck me, and that's really interesting. Had this paper taken just slightly less time to get to the point and spent slightly more time developing the point, it would have been 4 for me. But since it takes way too long, it discusses a few topics that aren't relevant and then it doesn't really elaborate on its own point, I'd say it goes at around 2.75. So this was the paper that I had been looking forward to the most because the topic seemed very interesting and it absolutely did not disappoint. I mean, easily it's one of the best papers I've read in quite a while. Not even for this video, just overall. It does not bring up topics that are unrelated. It does not take itself too seriously. every philosophical concept that is discussed here is explained very well so that anybody can understand it. Now, there are two kinds of human urges. The first is purely impulsive, purely animalistic, and the second is intellectual. Freud called these the pleasure principle and the morality principle, whereas Nietzsche would refer to these as the Apollonian qualities and the Dionysian qualities. Apollonian being the intellectual, the highly refined one, and Dionysian being the base animalistic impulses. Since we live in a society that has been derived from religion, and since we have a lot of social hierarchies, people try to suppress their animalistic impulses while only trying to refer to their Apollonian qualities. And Nietzsche saw this as very troublesome because he believed that both Dionysian and Apollonian qualities need to exist in a person and in society at large for anything meaningful to happen. Now, what the author does here is he looks at Kanye West's video for No Church in the Wild, and then he tries to see how the video portrays the clash between Apollonian qualities and Dionysian qualities, and then he tries to judge whether specifically Kanye's part is more Dionysian or more Apollonian, or is it somewhere in the middle the way Nietzsche would want. So the video is clearly a clash between Dionysian qualities shown in the form of the rioters with Apollonian qualities shown in the form of the authoritative police. The policemen are trying to maintain the status quo, whereas the rioters are trying to bring some change. Something interesting about the video that the author also notes is that we don't know which side we are on. And the same happens in at large in society as well. We don't know if we are with Dionysius, if we are purely into chaos, or if we are with Apollonians, if we support the status quo. And we don't know which of these sides is correct. We don't know anyone's story, and the rioters, we would like to sympathize with them, but still, they did throw the first cocktail and they started the fight. And both the parties seem to be equally led by hatred and violence on both sides. Whose side are we on? The author then goes into discussing Jay-Z's part and then finally comes to Kanye's part. And of course, the outcome is that Kanye asks people to descend into this chaos and just overthrow status quo, do everything the opposite way they want, which is purely Dionysian. And the thing is that if your moral code is the exact opposite of what authorities try to tell you, it's still ruled by the authorities, right? You still follow exactly what they told you to do, but now you just do the exact opposite of it. The better thing would be to have a balance of chaos and intellectualism and then decide for your own what you have to do. Just sidestep the authorities' morals altogether, which is not what Kanye asks people to do in this video. And therefore, he fails as far as Nietzschean standards are concerned. Overall, the writing was really amazing, and the point that the author made was amazing as well. And I would easily rate this a 4.2 out of 5. Loved it. So out of all the papers that we had today, this final one read the most like a college paper or something that you would read or write academically. Whenever you are consuming any piece of content, I think it's very easy to judge how insecure was the person while creating it. So for example, while you're watching this video, you'll obviously be able to judge that I am more insecure than, say, Casey Neistat. Because Casey knows that how he speaks is very effective and the audience loves him and he has nothing to prove. While I am very insecure because I have no audience and I'm doing this for the third time today. The same is very, very clearly seen in academic papers as well. So I'd say that the first paper that we read was written by the most insecure people because it was trying to push a lot of philosophy down our throats, and it felt like they were proving that they know a lot while adding no value to the paper at all. the most secure and the most confident writer was the second one, Julius Bailey, because he did not feel like he was trying to prove anything, and it felt like a very enlightened conversation that we were having with him. This paper falls somewhere in between because it's very well written, and this also does not try to prove any point. It points out the exact things that are important for the final point, and then it builds upon itself. Now, this paper was written in 2011, and by the time Kanye had only put out his Education trilogy. So that's the only 3 albums that this paper discusses. Something that hip hop has been condemned a lot for has been its symbolic violence and how it sort of ingrains a lot of messages about misogyny, about violence, about this drug culture. What this paper discusses is how Kanye West fits into this narrative and whether he is also pushing symbolic violence through his art. The paper makes a really great point by looking at the entire discography of Kanye till 2011 and discussing how he is actually pushing things in a very positive direction. In Hollywood, the universally accepted perspective is that of a straight white male. And according to the author, Kanye challenges this perspective by providing a POV video for All Falls Down. While it is clear that not everyone will be able to relate to this perspective, but still Kanye challenges the universally accepted status quo by forcing people to look at the world through his eyes. The second way in which the paper believes that Kanye is a very good influence is by addressing the racism inherent in all educational institutions in America.
I'm trying to get you out here with these white people. That's how you gonna do me. You know what? You's a nigga. And I don't mean that in no nice way.
Kanye is not glorifying dropping out for the sake of dropping out. What he's doing instead is addressing how college institutions perpetuate this social hierarchy and how it only provides white European role models, which the African American population cannot relate to. And finally, the third way in which he has added positively to African American culture, according to this paper, is by showcasing the history of the black struggle and showing people throughout African American history who have been able to bring a lot of change. Like his late mother, Donda, West argues that I'm kind of a teacher too, but the hood, the suburbs, MTV and BET are my classrooms. And I know how to talk to my class. There's this common narrative that people who are oppressed can just work hard enough and overcome all the social hierarchy that's pushing them down. But Kanye shows that yes, hard work is necessary, but there are also institutional things working against his people. And that's what the author of this paper really brings out very well. So again, I'd rate this paper 3.75, and it's only because I rated the previous one 4 point something, and that was very well written as compared to this. Those were the 3 most popular papers on Kanye on Google Scholar, and this was my review of them. If you liked this video and if you would want me to make more of these in the future, leave a comment down below and I would love to make more of these. I found this video really interesting to make, significantly more interesting than the video in which I was bashing Sadhguru or bashing BetterHelp. So if you would like to see something more like this, more of research paper reviews on blank, maybe J. Cole next time, just leave a comment down below and I would love to make more of these. What did we learn today?
I'm not your boy. I am a god.